Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I know we said that this model was done, and it is, mostly. I mean, I even filmed a unfinished video, which I'll link to here if you've not seen it. But as you know, I still wasn't happy with this red chassis, and I decided that there was nothing I could do with it. Can't paint it because it would wear off. You can't get anything in behind the wheels to hide the chassis because there's not enough space and there's gears and things in the way. And I just come to the decision that when it's, you know, on a track, it's kind of hidden and stuff. But it is still kind of glaringly bright red and annoying. But somebody left a comment on a forum where I posted the previous video with a suggestion that I thought was worth trying, and I thought I'd at least try it just initially on camera, and then I might go away, finish it, and come back and show you what it was. So what's the suggestion? Well, the suggestion is to take my lovely model and draw on it with a Sharpie. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I'm not going to draw on the model, obviously. I'm going to take the model out, take the motor out, and we're going to draw on the red bits of the chassis with the black Sharpie. Now, the idea here is that obviously the Sharpie should colour the chassis without rubbing off, but also gives pretty much no thickness. It's not like paint going on where you're going to add thickness and gears are going to bind and that kind of thing. So the hope is that not only can I do kind of like the wheel faces, but I can actually get in and do the gear and things. Now the problem's going to be I don't want to strip this chassis down too much, so it's going to be getting in with the pen. But before I do that, I want to prove that actually the whole thing's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on a bit underneath where the motor would fit, where it's not going to be seen, and check that that actually works. So here we go. We're going to go in here and we're going to draw on this bit of the red chassis and see that the pen actually colours and works. Now that looks pretty good to me. I mean, there is an issue with it being shiny compared with the matte surface of the really black paint, but I think I can live with that if it's black rather than red. So let's find something to try this with. So now we've put it on, given it a second, and it's already not as shiny because it's drying out. And when I rub a cotton wool bud over it, pretty much nothing's coming off. If I leave it even longer, I'm guessing even less would come off. So I think that kind of proves that the thing works. Obviously, if you scratch the surface of the chassis, the black is going to come off and you'll see the red again. But my hope is that if I can get enough on in the right places, I can kind of colour this in, and the red won't show through. Obviously, you need to kind of be a bit sensible with the pen, and it needs a clean surface so it actually sticks. But you can see that that's working quite nicely. It's definitely black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go carefully, try and do the wheels and the chassis. If it doesn't work or it goes horribly wrong, then I should be able to lift off the black with just a cotton wool bud with some IPA on it. Should lift off the black Sharpie. In fact, let me just double test that works as well, if I can find the IPA, just so that we know for certain if I need to get it off, I can. So you see the whole process. So I've just got a bit of the IPA, and let me just gently wipe over here. And there you go, you can see it comes straight off with the IPA. So if I need to, I can lift it back off again, which is good. I'm not going to ruin it completely, but I am going to now turn the camera off so I can get to the model properly, and attempt to colour in all the red bits with a black pen, and hopefully not destroy the model in the process. Wait there and I will be back for you in a few seconds, but I don't know quite how long it will take me, so we shall see. Right, so what was a few seconds later for you turned out to be actually a couple of weeks, I think, since I filmed the intro. And it's taken me that long because I couldn't figure out how to take the chassis apart. So obviously wanting to paint in the faces of the wheels means I have to be able to get to the wheels, and the front wheel was completely covered and hidden by the slide bars, and the back wheel had the coupling rods and stuff attached to it. Now the back wheel was fairly easy because there is basically just a hole in the wheel face that the pin drops in, so you can see here. Here's the, if I get it to focus, here's a balance weight, and on the opposite side the gap between the spokes is actually a round hole rather than a kind of slightly square slot, and that's for the pin on the coupling rod to slot into. So that's easy. You just pair, you know, these are quite flexible. So pair of pliers, you know, pair of tweezers, and it just pops out. But to get to the front one, obviously I have to take off all this slide bar and stuff. The wheel is directly behind here. There's no way I can get in here. And it took me a while to figure out how to do it. Obviously I didn't want to break it. This is all plastic. And although I'd seen a couple of things that suggested it just kind of popped off, figuring out how it just popped off without breaking it was quite tricky. It turns out that there is a central pin here, clip, that goes down through the middle of the body. It goes down through this hole here. Now I couldn't figure out a way from the bottom. It kind of clips in somewhere inside, and I couldn't work out a good way of actually kind of getting to that clip. What I did in the end was I kind of just ever so gently kind of held it like this and then kind of pushed up and out on the cylinders, and that caused it to pop up enough for the clip to undo. And then it's just a case of wriggling it out, because the back of this, the back of this here, this little red plastic, actually fits underneath this piece of the motor mount, so it kind of keeps it wedged flat. It's kind of clipped in at the front, but can't kind of spin upwards because these are in the way, these bits. So yeah, it took a while to get out, but now it's out. I can take my Sharpie to it and we can have a look. So I'll do the first one on camera, but it's a bit tricky, so I don't want to do all of them on camera. But we can start painting in the face a bit. I mean, I could actually get out a paintbrush for some of these holes. I might actually do that and actually flood the holes with paint. Might look a bit better. But already that's starting to look better. It's not perfect, there's still red in there, but given the slide bars will be across the front and stuff, that's already looking a lot better. And I can start now. I can get in here. I can start. I need to get a better permanent marker. This one seems to be pretty rubbish. But I can start painting in on there. So we'll do that off camera, because as I say, it's much easier for me to be able to see, and I need to clearly find a better permanent marker than this one. I'm still not entirely sure how well it's going to go for the cogs on this side, but hopefully it will be better than nothing. So wait there. It will be a few seconds for you. Not quite sure how long it will be for me. Right, here we are. Get it to focus again. So yeah, so I've gone for a combination of the marker pen and some black paint. So the marker pen is quite shiny. So I've put it on the bits that I can't put paint on. So essentially on the gears, because I can't risk thickening up the gears with paint. It's just gonna be a mess. But the actual block I've painted the best I can, so that you can't see the red. I mean, I can't go completely in behind the wheels, but from most angles you're not going to be able to see anyway. I've also, as well as putting some marker pen on the face of the wheels, this one needs a bit more. I've managed to miss the axle on this one, as well as the marker pen. It's not really covering, is it, on that one? As well as the marker pen, I've added some black paint, and in fact I'll just touch this axle in with a bit more, in the hope that I can get it in amongst the spokes. So I can't get the pen in amongst the spokes, but I can get paint in. And again, that shouldn't rub there because, let me wash my brush, sorry. Shouldn't rub there because there's nothing rubbing. The faces of the wheels will rub because the coupling rods and stuff are running against them, although not very heavily. So it may wear away paint, which is why I've done the marker underneath as well. So that's looking a lot better. So I'm going to just leave the paint to fully dry for a little bit before I reassemble. Everything moves nicely, so I'm not too worried that I've clogged anything up. and then I'll reassemble, we'll have a look at it, and I'll get some footage of it running just to prove to everybody that it still is in fact running and I haven't completely messed it up. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully that's going to look an awful lot better when it's reassembled, but we'll find out in a few seconds for you and a little bit longer for me. Right, here we are, all back reassembled. So there we go. I think that looks an awful lot better. I'm quite happy with the red bar. Coupling rod is fine. In theory, I suppose I could rub that down, probably remove the paint if I wanted to, and just leave it all silver. But I think it works fine. But yeah, that's so much better than it was with the red. Yeah, not much to say really. I mean, it was quite tricky to. It was a bit tricky to get the plate back on, but I'll put some footage up while I talk. It does run, moves backwards and forwards nicely, no problems. Yeah, as I say, tricky getting the plate back on. As I say, it's angled underneath. If I take the top off again, it fits. This plate that you've now seen off fits under these bars here, but getting the clip, so you have to get it kind of angled in underneath the bars and then clip it down, but because of the angle, the clip is actually way too far forward of the hole that it goes in, so you kind of have to get it in just the right place and then push something in underneath the plate to push the clip back to get it to drop, and doing all that while trying to keep all the pins and everything in the right place was a bit tricky, but it, I got there, and as I say, all nicely focus, all nicely rotates, and the gears and everything are a lot more hidden. So I think that was worth it. Yeah, it's the kind of second video where I've taken something odd to a model. There was a previous video, I'll put a link up here, about why you should never use super glue on a model that you've finished and painted. But this one was a bit more of a success. I never expected to be taking a Sharpie to a completed model, but that's been a huge improvement over the final look of this model, so I'm really happy with that. So thanks to the people who kind of suggested this, and just kind of continued, suggestions from people that the chassis was the kind of the weak point of the finished model. I mean, it's always useful when you can kind of buy in if sometimes it's nice to build a kit from a model completely from a kit. Sometimes it's nice to have a chassis that a power unit that works well. But when you're using a power unit that works well and comes from somewhere else, then actually kind of completing that and painting it, weathering it to the same standards as the rest of the model can be a bit tricky, because you're worried about damaging it and things, especially if they're hard to come by or expensive. So thank you for everybody who suggested I continue on. It's definitely been an improvement, and for that I now think that this model definitely is finished. So thank you for watching.